Okay, here we are, one awesome community. Okay, you're wondering why I call this People Come in All Moods. Well, they do. But before I continue, I just got to give a big shout out to Jane Anderson for missing my podcast. So thank you so much, Jane. It made me feel like I got to get on here today and do this. I've been a little remiss, as if you've been listening, I've had some things going through my life, and things are calming down. I'm getting back in the groove. And I'm also videotaping this simply because I had a mastermind meeting with a couple of my very, very wonderful friends and advisors. And we talked about doing stories. And, you know, it's easy for me to come on here and do stories, but I haven't figured out how to transition them to a video format. So I thought, well, what the heck? I'm going to adjust this just a bit. So what the heck? I figured, why not do my show at the same time? So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, when I say people come in all moods, they really, really do. I've been in sales now for 20 some years, and what I learned when I walk into a business is whatever mood they're in has nothing to do with me. We've all encountered that where we walk in someplace and somebody just growls at us. And it's like, what did we do? We didn't do anything. It's what happened before you got there. It's just like if you're standing in line somewhere to check out and everybody coming through the line is giving that cashier a hard time. And here's one of my biggest pet peeves you've heard me talk about before on my show is people that insist that that phone call or text has to be done while they're standing in line face to face with someone. Please, please think about this. Is that how you want to be treated? Do you want somebody to be this far from you, and instead of looking at you and engaging in conversation, they're like this, they're like this? Is that really what you want? I don't want that. So when I come through a line, and I've seen this behavior time and time again with people, I look at that cashier and I'm like, you're having a rough day, aren't you? Because by this time, they've got a scowl on their face because they've been treated so invisible. They're invisible. They're not worth anything in their mind. That's how I would feel. So I'll always make a point of letting them know that I saw that crap going on. And I reinforce that they're a good person, and I give them a smile and I said, I hope things get better for you. I feel good about myself because I feel that I've done something to lift that person's spirit. So I've learned this through sales calls, and I used to do tons of cold calls. I love doing cold calls because to me, that's just a way to go in and make a new friend. You introduce yourself, you find something to have rapport about, and boom, you got a new friend. Doesn't matter whether you make a sale or not, you've started a relationship. And I will never, ever forget when I was in upstate New York and in advertising, I had this route that I would call on the same people all the time because they were advertisers, but I always put new prospects in there, or people would say no. You never know when people are going to change their mind. It's no, not now. It's pretty much what it is for most of us. And I would walk in to this one specially homemade, handmade furniture store. Name was Kathy. And I would walk in, and I always just carried a folded portfolio. I didn't carry a briefcase or anything. Didn't carry a purse. That's all I would carry. And I'd walk in, and as soon as I walked in that store, boom, she'd make a beeline out of the showroom. I'm like, what the heck? She'd already told me no, she didn't want to advertise. And okay, but I had other advertisers in that same complex, so I would just stop in to say hello. So one day I walked in and she didn't buzz out of there. And I'm like, oh. So I walked in, and this day I did not bring my clipboard in either. I just walked in. And I walked up to her, and she'd gotten a new hairstyle. It was all curls. And she had really, really straight hair, and I was always doing stuff to make my hair curly. And I walked in, I complimented on her hair, and we started talking. Now this is where it gets truly bizarre. We started talking and found out we had dated the same guy. And just recently, that same guy had reached out to both of us to go to an event. And all of his past conquests had turned him down, one after the other, because he turned out not to be that special of a guy. So we bonded And I never asked her to advertise again until I started my own publication. And I was telling her about it. She said, oh, let me know the minute you start that. But I said, wait a minute, Kathy. I got to ask you a question. I said, you have never, ever let me talk to you before. I'm just curious why you've always left the showroom when I walked in. She's because I can just tell when you walk in the room that I am not going to be able to say no to you. Just cracked up. She said, my advertising budget's spent and I would have a tough time saying no to whatever you want me to do with you. I just laughed. She was my very first advertiser in my new publication. We became very good friends. Her mood and her attitude had something to do with me, but not in the way that I thought. So we perceive things as being about us in a negative way. Have you ever sat across from somebody in a presentation, everything goes wonderfully, and you send them a card and thank you for their time, and then the next time you talk to them, they just barely give you the time of day? Well, it's because their spouse asked for a divorce that morning, or their boss gave them a chewing out. You don't know. So what I've learned to do, not always, but in sales, you learn patience, you learn listening, you learn understanding, you learn empathy. You learn so much when you're in a sales world because you're dealing with all kinds of moods every day. And you have to realize it is not about you. Don't take that mood personally. It will destroy you. And you will be unable to become a good salesperson or business person. It's a very important skill to have. And people will send you rants in an email because something didn't go quite right for them. And you're wounded and you're like, oh my God, that hurt so much. How could you say that? You know, I wouldn't represent this if I didn't believe in it. And you're stewing over it and you're chewing over it and you're trying to placate that customer. And then the next time you talk to them, they're just fine. What the heck? Caused me grief. Just like when I was involved with an alcoholic. He'd get so upset about something and chew on it, and he'd tell me about it, and I'd be worried for him, and I'd chew on it, and worried about it. How are we going to address this? The next time I would see him, I'd ask him about it. Oh, I'm over it. What? You put it on my shoulders, but you're over it. So there's all sorts of people that come into your life that teach you lessons that you probably could have done without. That one I could have done without. It was a very destructive situation. But the point is that any kind of people relationship you have, and that's what we do every day, we're connected. And I'm not talking about Facebook or any of that. Those are sometime relationships, but even people get on those social media things and they rant about things. Well, here's what I encourage you to consider. If you've got something to say that's negative, write it down on a piece of paper before you put it out there for the world. Because you know what? That reflects back on who you are. Not the situation so much, but on who you are. Because guess what? Maybe a company screwed up. Maybe they didn't get something quite right. And you're really, really angry at them. And by the time you get done posting that on social media, you've gotten a phone call, you've gotten a letter, and you've gotten an email saying, hey, we're so sorry, and this is what we've done to fix it. Well, guess what? You can't undo what you just put out there on social media. You have just condemned them, even though they've done things right. Guess what? People focus on the negative. They're not going to go back and see all the positive things you've written afterwards. It's just human nature. It truly, truly is. You know, I used to be a very negative Nelly, and not so much a negative Nelly, just a very mood swings. So I understand people come in all moods. And I truly, truly believed that I was hiding these ups and downs. But I had a boss give me an attitude adjustment one day. And he told me, he says, Gail, if you want to be successful, you need to get a handle on your mood swings. I'm like, what? The minute he said that, I get this big lump in my throat and tears in my eyes because you know what? I knew what he was talking about. Even though I felt like, I'm in the sausage, I hide my hand in the sand and nobody knows. I somehow knew. Because people would say to me, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're not much of a morning person, are you? That's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, hello? And I would say that I am not a morning person, and so don't be talking to me in the morning, but that's not right. That's not what life is about. I'm getting up tomorrow morning and being at an event at 8 o'clock. I will be who I am right now. Today I was at an event at 8:30. I'm who I am right now. True, I'd rather not get up at the crack of dawn. I like to get up at a certain time and do my exercises. I'm not allowed to exercise now for about another month. So I have to just get up and groove into my day. But when he said that to me, I understood exactly what he was saying to me. And so he continued with saying, Gail, when you're down, first he said, when you're up, the whole world is up with you. But he says, girl, when you're down, boom, you bring the rest of us down with you. Now, was that a reputation I wanted to have? No, not at all. So I went from being a executive assistant to the VP of sales into selling. I had no experience, but I wanted to do it, and I got into advertising sales. The one thing I knew, having been his right-hand person, was that the salespeople that came through there, and I trained these salespeople that came through there, they weren't up and down. They were always in a great mood. So I'm like, oh man, I got to figure out how to fix that. And so I went on a mission. I went on a mission to change those mood swings. Now I have a chapter in a book on how I stopped the roller coaster of emotions. I got off that ride. I changed my perspective. I learned how to conquer my mood swings. And it was one little tiny book that I bought. So if there's a book on your radar that you want to buy that you think might help you, please do it. The book that I have is How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Insurance. I bought it for 10 cents at a garage sale, and it changed my life. Some of you have heard this story before, some of you haven't. It bears repeating. Because if you're a moody person and you're in business, and in any kind of business, and you want to conquer that, so you have a more upbeat personality, so your attitude is in the right place when that salesperson walks in doing their job, you can be on a more even keel. The other day we were in a store, and this direct TV person is there trying desperately to get customers. They're doing this kiosk, and my husband just barrels right past them. I stopped and I said to the young man, I said, hey, we've got a service we just love, but thank you, good luck with you. My husband says, I said, why did you not stop? He says, because I don't want that. I said, I don't care. That's a human being that we need to honor that is doing their job. That is one of the toughest jobs in the world, to be demonstrating in a Sam's Club. Here, taste this. We all taste their stuff. Do we buy their stuff? Not necessarily. But they're trying to push this product on you, and we just walk by. We don't see them. Common courtesy. I'm a relationship marketing consultant. And one of the things that drives me crazy is that people will pick and choose who they're nice to. The company I represent send out cards. We believe in delivering kindness to everyone. And so if you're in that kind of mood swing on a regular basis, think how that affects that person that walks into your business, whether you have an appointment or you don't have an appointment. When they walk out that door, what are they going to say about you? Man, I'm never going in that place again. Those are the grouchiest people I've ever talked to. Woohoo! Don't want them as a customer. Or do you want to come out of there and say, wow, what a nice person. Don't want to be my customer today, but that's okay. I'll stay in touch. Maybe someday. Maybe I can use their services. But I will definitely refer them to other people because they were so, so kind to me. It's a real simple lesson that I think we've learned a long time ago as kids when we start to say thank you and you're welcome. But as we go through our very busy and hectic life, we forget that stuff. So I just want you to encourage you to think about that email before you send it. Think about that social media post before you post it. Think about how you represent yourself when you walk into the world, into your business. And if something is really chewing at you at home, my mother used to tell me, I started working for my parents first. My mother would tell me, you leave your problems at home. You do. You have to put those on a shelf because you can't do anything about them at work. But if you bring them to work, guess what? You're not completely 100% present, giving all to your